Of money have flowed to the Clintons from foreign governments, foreign financiers, and businesses.
The Clinton Foundation dropping its self-imposed ban on collecting funds from foreign governments and entities.
You have a foreign corporation or a foreign government that wants something from the State Department while Hillary Clinton is Secretary of State. They will make a large payment to the Clinton Foundation. That will be followed by favorable action on their behalf. They've created a model for massive self-enrichment that allows you to go into so-called public service, but get extremely rich at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I got to pay our bills.
Before we had to worry about money from Wall Street and big labor, now we have to worry about it coming from around the world and infecting our politics. With the Clintons, nothing is sacred. Everything is for sale. But we are the ones who are paying the price. Maybe, just maybe, the American people are tired of being sold out.
Yeah, that is so true about the Clintons. Going all the way back. And here's what's really scary. Let's put this all in perspective. When Bill Clinton got elected, he was never at a support level in America at the time that anybody thought was enough to win the presidency. It was kind of a shocker that he did it. The only reason he was able to pull it off is because Ross Perot was able to siphon off enough conservative votes to allow somebody to win the presidency with 44%
right.
of the electorate. So Clinton wins, and he's 42 years old or 44 years old. He's really young.
Oh yeah.
And he ends up being president for 8 years. At the time, he's brand new. He's very green in politics, and he probably had a lot to learn.
Oh, yes. Well, coming out from I'm not saying a governor can't. Well, Reagan was the governor of California, stepped in.
But he wasn't at
awesome.
the national stage, and
right.
he was young, so he didn't have a whole lifetime of.
Yeah, Reagan was in his 60s, was 70.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's my point. They've been in the White House for 8 years back in the 90s. They have an entire lifetime of a corrupt network built up.
Yes, going all the way back to
when they were president.
Ayers bombing, Ayers bombing, buildings and killing innocent people, that being funded by Bill Ayers. I'm just saying.
Well, they had that when they were president the first time.
Right.
I'm saying now they've had 8 years of being in the White House and building relationships from the White House.
Right.
And then continuing with all their shenanigans that they've been doing since then.
Right, when she became senator for New York and then Secretary of State.
Right.
That's all connections. All connections.
Oh, yeah. But, they haven't been just vacationing for the 16 years that they've been out. Because, let's see, we had 8 years of Bush and then 8 years of Obama, 16 years. So we had 8 years of the White House, then 16 more years of doing whatever they can in the meantime.
To get back.
Well, and they're building all this network of corruption.
Right.
If she were to win the White House now with what she has now,
and what Obama
it would
has
be exponentially worse than what they had done way back in the 90s, in 92 to 90,
not only that,
2000.
but Obama has set the precedent that if you don't get your way, you executive order it.
You just dictatorship it.
Right, and she has seen what the media has done for Obama, and she knows they'll do the exact same thing for her.
They were in uncharted territory back in the 90s.
Yes.
So it was kind of safe,
Right.
And I kind of felt that with Obama, too. When Obama first got in, here's this young guy. He's never done a damn thing in his life.
Except be a community disorganizer.
Which is nothing. It's literally a title. Well, what is it you say you do around here?
Right.
I'm a people person. So that's Obama. And when he first got in there, I kind of got this feeling that, you know what, he's so green, he doesn't really know the power that he has.
Right.
And that's why even when they had the House, the Senate, a supermajority, they still weren't going through with the Obamacare. It wasn't until they realized, the clock
we're running out of time.
Tick, 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 ticking, That's when they realize, oh, yeah, if we don't do this now, it ain't happening.
Right.
And so they finally were like, all right, they'll forgive us one day. Let's just do it.
Hey, so those Republicans that we elected and the Tea Party helped to sweep the House and the Senate, are they still down with Obama? Did they defund that yet?
No, they haven't done anything.
Oh. They said they were going to. Paul Ryan said he was going to.
The whole country wanted them to do something, which is why they elected him to be there. But then when they got there, they were told in the woodshed, listen, he's the first black president. We're not touching that with 10-foot pole.
Well, they may even have said, hey, I'll tell you what. We know it's not going to work, but this is the way to single payer, which will get you all more money.
That could have done. So there's two angles here. It depends. They have to figure out which angle is going to work. Either A, hey, you need to save your political career. Don't touch that with 10-foot pole. First black president ain't happening, so don't even try it. And the other angle is what you just said, which is, dude, this is for you. This is for you. You can't bite the hand that feeds.
And not only that, but do you realize literally we are going down the right road to keep you in power forever.
Forever, yeah. I mean, it may not happen. It may not happen. But if it's ever a possibility, this is it.
Right, because you'll have so much money in your war chest that any Tea Party totaler, you know, those racist Tea Partiers, they'll never be able to have the kind of money to run for your seat. Yeah,
exactly.
Except,
and they'll never get the support.
Maybe John McCain's seat.
They're going to run.
Oh God, I hope John McCain.
Your
loses.
opposition is going to run on ending the gravy train.
Right.
Nobody's going to vote for that. So meanwhile, the public was getting more and more upset, and that is what caused the Trump phenomenon. Because he's like, "Oh hell no," and everybody's like, Right on. Yeah, on.
And we know, I mean, maybe subconsciously or consciously, we all know that he knows something about the inside game. The deals. The backdoor deals, the inside deals, those deals that are being done that we only assume are being done. We I know they're doing something dirty. I know it's wrong, and I just can't. But we know he knows what they're doing.
Right. You know, it's interesting. He's so realistic that it actually can hurt him really bad politically. Like, for instance, he said, "What I'll do about all this debt is renegotiate it so we pay less than what we owe," and of course, that would be an unprecedented step where the first time in American history we're, for the most part, filing for bankruptcy and then agreeing to pay off our debts with less than what we owe, which is essentially bankruptcy.
Hey, don't bother me.
Well, what's the alternative?
Right
the alternative is to do exactly what has gotten us in this mess in the first place, which is just keep printing money.
Greece? Anyone? Greece?
And he finally came out and said, well, you know, America doesn't really default because they just print the money. But if you read between the lines, you could tell that Trump was saying that that's what the problem is.
Right.
He didn't say it he didn't actually use the words, but, you know, you could tell by his tone that that's what the problem is.
Right.
That we don't default. And it just blows my mind that all these so-called experts think that it's so bad to do the right, responsible thing, which is, hey, let's get real here and realize it's time to start looking at bankruptcy, and saying, hey, why do that when we could just print more money?
Right.
It blows my mind.
Well, not only that, but some of these things, like if you look way back in the day when Obama did the bailout, that bailout money.
It's just printing money. The QE1, QE2,
right.
QE3.
What is so crooked and what is so awful and it's so bad that this government administration does, and the ones before it, even Bush, but it just wasn't as bad under Bush. That bailout that Obama signed to have done made its way into the budget. So that bailout happens every single year.
Yeah.
It's money that just keeps... Where does it go? Where does it all go?
Well, you just flood the entire world with it.
Right.
And what happens is that our dollar is essentially worth less. And if you stop and think, well, what is the real cost of doing this? Who's really losing here? It's the people that saved money and or are now on fixed incomes because their rate of increase, their savings in general, is being robbed by making it worth less. So, for instance, back in the day, if you were a millionaire, you were essentially rich, and everybody knew what $1 million was worth. So if you can make that $1 million essentially worth half of what it used to be worth,
right,
somebody stole half your money. I'll give you like an example. Let's say, I don't know, let's just say you could buy a nice car back in the 80s for $10,000. And now you buy the same quality car for $25,000, or let's say $30,000. Same quality car. So essentially, the $10,000 back then was worth $30,000 today, and the $30,000 today is only worth $10,000 in 80s money. So here's the point.
Right.
If you saved that $10,000 back in the 80s and threw it in your closet, put it under your mattress,
okay,
when you pull it out, now it's only worth $10,000. It's worth the same quantity, but it's worth a third of the buying power.
You can see this in children. When my kids collect coins and money around the house, and I think I gave my daughter $5 for her birthday, I actually pulled out a 10 and told the wife to put it in the envelope, and she's like, ooh. I said, well, I was looking for a 5, but I don't have one. She pulled out a 5 and put a 5 in there, and I started thinking about it. What is she going to buy for $5?
Well, I mean, you got
just junk and candy. But other than that, go to the store and try and buy a toy.
Well, my allowance
for the kid,
my
for
allowance
$5.
when I was a kid was only $1, and even way back then, $1 didn't buy much. So what I would do is, if I wanted something that cost, let's say, $5, I was just like, okay, in 5 weeks I'll be able to afford it.
Right, right. Well, just compare it to this. I mean, and I'm just saying this just because I know. But anyways, smoking's bad. Children, don't smoke. Cigarettes back then cost $1.10.
I remember when they were under $1.
Really? Wow. So okay. So say around $1, cigarettes around $1. How many cigarettes can you buy for $1 today?
3?
Maybe, because they're like $9 a pack.
I don't know.
If you're in California, they're like $8.50 a pack.
How in the world can you be a smoker?
You can't. And none of that, when everybody stops smoking and start vaping.
Oh yeah, the vaping.
Then all those taxes that they said that was going to pay for the health care to cigarette smokers ain't going to be there no more. Nobody smokes anymore. Anyways, as a side note.
Yeah. So all this quantitative easing is stealing money from people who save their money.
Right. So all these people coming out and railing against Trump, I know why they're railing against Trump, because he is a threat to their gravy train. At least that's what we hope. At least that's what he says, and that's what he's been saying. So as long as and I have no reason to believe that he's not going to do what he says he's going to do. Unlike a politician, you elect them and you cross your fingers and pray to the good Lord above that they stick to some of their promises. Unlike Trump, he's not a politician. So I'd like to believe that he'd probably be more likely to stick to
I never thought
his
about
promises.
it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. And I think this is a problem with the Cruz people. The Cruz people constantly were judging everything that's come out of his mouth in the past 30 years.
Yeah.
Through the lens of him being a politician.
And he's not.
No, he's only, the past couple months been a politician?
Clotheslining McMahon. Those are jokes for the masses, folks. Those are not political statements.
Right. There's a bunch of stuff. And that's been the problem. You can't judge somebody's statements. He was on the Howard Stern show. If you've never seen or heard the Howard Stern show before,
It's like a rated R talk show.
Really rated R. There's a lot of he always has porn stars on as guests.
Yeah.